All right. We are back. JV Wans, Dogon SS. What's going on, people? We are here for another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody who has been joining along with us and hitting that subscribe button, leaving those comments, hitting that like button. We certainly appreciate it. As always, before we get into it, a couple of usual disclaimers. Check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts for anybody who is trying to check us out but can't watch us on YouTube. Also, as I have been saying, we appreciate the value of your digital currency. We don't take it for granted. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I listen to a few podcasts, the ones that I do think offer some kind of value. And rarely do I actually make the leap to click the subscribe button, let alone like a video or even leave a comment, which is even more rare for me. So I only bring that up to say we, knowing the leap that it takes to actually put those efforts into effect, we don't take that for granted. We appreciate the value of your digital currency, and we respect it and understand that if you are making that leap, you're doing so because you do truly believe that you are gaining some kind of value in the content that we put out on Conscious Approach. So, to everybody out there who is subscribed to the channel, and to everybody out there who will in the future subscribe to the channel, thank you very, very much. We very much appreciate it. Now, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. I can't wait to get into a few of these topics tonight to hear what Dogon has to say. Some of them are a bit juicy. And first thing that we are going to get into is something that I find very sad and unfortunate, but nevertheless, we have to talk about it because we have to bring some kind of sanity to all this madness going on. Shannon Sharpe, for anybody who does not know, you know, he was riding high on ESPN. You know, he was doing First Take, and he was trying to get to mainstream status, and a lot of that came to an abrupt halt after he was accused of assault of the sexual variety by who at the time was an unnamed woman. She had video recordings apparently of their abusive, although consensual relationship, and things got so heated and testy that Shannon Sharpe had to recuse himself from ESPN, and basically he was only participating in his own stuff, his nightcap show and his Club Shay Shay show. He said at the time that he would be back for NFL. So he was saying that he was going to leave and come back once NFL preseason started, and he would be back. But there's some speculation as to whether that's true. There's some speculation as to whether he's going to come back at all. But all of this happened because Shannon Sharpe was entangled with this very young 20-something-year-old OnlyFans chick. For the record, Shannon Sharpe is how old? Shannon Sharpe, Shannon Sharpe, I believe, is like he's 57 years old. And this girl who he was involved with is like early 20s, like 21, 22, 23, something like that. And yeah, she had tape and audio. And so it was a very embarrassing situation. She sued him for $50 million. And recently they settled on something that was amicable. And so that's what we're going to talk about, because in lieu of the settlement, this woman brazenly declared that at this time she is now going to retire from doing OnlyFans. And I don't think that it is a coincidence that she is retiring from OnlyFans right around the time that she is settling with Shannon Sharpe, who initially said that he was not going to pay her a dime. But we know how this stuff goes. There's almost always a payout in some kind of way. So this says Shannon Sharpe's accuser announces OnlyFans retirement following civil case resolution. Gabrielle Zuniga, the OnlyFans model who accused Shannon Sharpe of assault, announced that she's retiring following the resolution of her civil case against the NFL Hall of Famer. In a since deleted post on Instagram, Zuniga announced to her followers that she would no longer produce adult content for the platform. Today, I've decided to retire from OnlyFans. Thank you for the incredible support you've shown me over the past few years. This community has given me a life I could have never imagined. I'll still be active on social media and have several new projects in the works that I can't wait to share. I'm truly excited for this next chapter. I love you all forever and ever. Last week, her attorney in her civil lawsuit against Sharp came to a Last week, her attorney in her civil lawsuit against Sharp came to a conclusion. Tony Busby released a statement confirming as such and said that after protracted and respectful negotiations, we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. He added that all matters have now been addressed satisfactorily, and a lawsuit has been dismissed with prejudice. The $50 million lawsuit was filed against Sharp on April 20th and accused him of assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery during a long term consensual and tumultuous relationship. Sharp denied the allegations and called the lawsuit a shakedown, to which his legal team added that the accusations were meritless. Due to the way the case has been dismissed, the details of the settlement have not been disclosed. Sharp has not addressed the resolution of the case either. Uh, now there's something going around. Shout out to my boy Eddie. He sent me something. Uh, I actually might be able to pull it up. So let me stop sharing this because I don't want to misquote anything. So he actually sent me something from Twitter, and let me see. So I'm gonna pull this up real quick, just for just for context purposes. I'm gonna pull this up. So you can, take this with a grain of salt if you'd like. But my boy Eddie sent me this. This was a link from Twitter. This was a post from Daily Loud, which is a blue check mark on Twitter. And you'll see here it says Shannon Sharpe allegedly paid a total of $23 million to Gabby Zuniga, who recently retired from Onlyfans, which was more than he made in his entire NFL career. So you see his NFL earnings there, 22 million, and she has allegedly been paid $23 million. And so she has now retired from OnlyFans, and she is going to move on to do other things, according to her. And where do you think the financing to do these other things are going to come from? Of course, they're going to come courtesy of Shannon Sharpe's stupidity. So, floor is yours, sir. What do you think about the resolution of this situation? This girl is now able to retire and be generationally wealthy off of this. What do you make of this and Shannon Sharpe and basically what he had to do?
You know, it's unfortunate, but a lot of this he played himself into this. There's only so you can only feel so bad for the guy. But in terms of how he played from 1990 and he retired, I think. I just looked it up, but yeah. So he played for 13 years. So he played in the league for 13 years. Played football at Savannah State. You hear all those stories about him working hard and in the field and stuff when he was growing up. This man's been working his entire life. And then after he retired, he got right into media. And yeah, he made only 22 million throughout his NFL career, and he paid out 23, which is embarrassing. But he also has been working pretty much his entire life. Now he didn't get he earned, but at the same time, her coming for like what was it, 50 million? I think she was coming for.
Yeah.
So for him to settle for 23, I guess that's kind of a win, but that's not $23,000. That's 23 million. So I know that hurts. I hurt when I give up $23 at the damn restaurant. So it hurts. So I don't know what Shannon Sharpe did, because these kind of things go away, in my opinion, when you're in where he's at. So I don't know what he did. I don't know who he rubbed the wrong way. Shakedown's kind of strong, but what else would you call it if you feel like you've been targeted with this? Now, granted, she had whatever level of evidence, but I think she was able to collect whatever level of evidence, because I don't take her for being this intelligent personally. I think that somebody knew that he had um a kink, and I felt like she was part of the situation where he just got. Um, and it's not one of those situations of it's one of those things where his image is tarnished now, whether he paid out or not. This scandal, he's not going to be worth whatever he was worth before this period. So even if he makes millions of dollars or whatever, it's still a situation of, hey man, but you're Shannon Sharpe, you got these kind of allegations floating out there around you, blasey splees, blasey blahs, and it's a way to undercut his earnings because he was a big time earner, man. That Cat Williams interview sent him to the moon,
It made
and he
$6 million by that interview alone netted him about $6 million.
that's insane. And let's not forget the endorsement deals he was getting subsequently. Last thing I'll say is I don't know how long this has been floating around, these allegations. I should have looked it up, but because when these guys get served with these situations, we hear about it months later. But these guys get served months before. And so I don't know if that situation that he had with Michelle, was that her name? When he was sitting there having his situation, I don't know if that was some type of hindsight PR stunt to make it seem like, hey, I'm out here having consensuals with whatever. Who knows? I don't know. But I take this situation to be consensual. I took it as he has a kink. And I think it was a situation where, setup's a strong word too, but again, you don't hear about certain things in the celebrity world if they don't want it to come out. I feel like this was a situation of messing with this guy's image. Now, who he would piss off in order to get in that position, who knows? But the bottom line is, yes, you're never safe. You're never safe. You're always for exposure, even if it's consensual. It's a wild life to live, man. And he caught one of the bad sides of the blade. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Shannon Sharpe here settling with the OnlyFans girl and her calling it quits because, well, there's no need to degrade herself anymore? What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, yeah, I just I find it unfortunate that remember when we talked about Tyrese and you made the point that in lieu of his divorce, he is now having to fight to retain a lot of what he earned simply because of somebody whom he slept with. And I feel like this is the same situation in which Shannon Sharpe has made an individual generally generationally wealthy, not because she earned it necessarily, but because he was a victim of his own sloppy decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he gets to basically put her into retirement. And all she had to do in order to get to that point is simply exist as a woman who can provide whatever kink it is that Shannon Sharpe was in search for. Um, I mean, it's a very, it just leaves a sour, nasty taste in my mouth. But I do think it is a case study for men everywhere in terms of how to best position yourself to not be extracted for resources when it comes to women.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I hold Shannon Sharpe most responsible for this, not the girl. She to me is inconsequential. When it comes to situations like this, I'm always going to pay the most attention to the individual who has the most to lose and who is in the greatest position of leverage. In this instance, the person who had the most to lose and who was in the greatest position of leverage was Shannon Sharpe. And I think when you're in a position of leverage and you have the most to lose, and this might sound corny, but in my opinion, you have a responsibility to accord yourself with a certain level of decency so that you can't be taken advantage of. I feel like you have that level. I feel like you have that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think failure to maintain that responsibility on the back end is going to result in something like this, to which you have no one to blame but yourself for everything that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that it's a valuable lesson, man, and it's very important that as you come into money and resources on a particular magnitude, you just have to be diligent with who you're dealing with. And you can't take for granted the fact that you've earned your way into this situation. And there are going to be situations that if you're not disciplined enough if you're not disciplined enough in how you deal with them, they can come for everything that you work to earn.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. Just like I don't like it when people get canceled, fired from stuff because they expressed a disagreeable point of view.
Mm-hmm.
An individual worked to earn their way into that position. Their livelihood shouldn't be taken away from them because they expressed a disagreeable point of view. Now, obviously, there's a difference between disagreeable and something where a line is truly crossed. And it rubs me the wrong way that an, somebody might express a disagreeable point of view, but to me, they didn't necessarily cross a line. And so for them to be stripped of their livelihood despite that is unfortunate. And
Mm-hmm.
here, Shannon Sharpe worked his way into something, and now he's had to give a chunk of it up, not because he necessarily, you know, succumbed to poor work performance or poor work ethic or poor professional habits, but because he just had poor judgment when it comes to indulging in some of his proclivities. And I'm not here to be holier than thou and say he should or should not be engaging with people like this. I've
Mm-hmm.
made my peace with this. These guys are going to do this stuff anyway. I can't stand it personally, but the world continues to turn, so it is what it is. But I do believe that if you are going to be doing that, you need to handle you need to ensure that there are provisions in place to protect you against things like this. And it is clear to me that he did not do that. Therefore, he gave up all the leverage that he had. And I just don't like that. Personally, I don't like to see men who have worked to earn their way into a certain status in life have to forfeit a lot of that due to poor decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hopefully everybody can gain a valuable lesson on that. I mean, if you're going to do the sex worker thing, if you're going to do the sex worker adjacent thing, if you're going to do the OnlyFans thing, which clearly is what all these guys are doing, if you're going to be dabbling in that world like that, this underground sexual marketplace, at least make sure that there are provisions in place so that you can't be extracted and taken advantage of. I think that that's a reasonable request.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think at this point it's unreasonable to say don't do it because we know that that's not going to happen. This guy is 57 years old, and as we've said on previous videos, he was moving like guys half his age do. Like that's what 25-year-old NFL players and NBA players do. That's what 30-year-old NFL and NBA players do. This guy's
Mm-hmm.
pushing 60 and he was doing the exact same thing. So clearly it's embedded in the culture and it's something that's so inextricably bound to these guys' lifestyles that it's unreasonable to say, hey, you shouldn't do that. Try meeting women in the daytime. Try meeting women who don't move and moonlight like sex workers. They're gonna do it anyway. So I've moved past that. And I feel like at this point, you're gonna do stuff like that. At least handle yourself provisionarily. At least do it with certain protections in place so that you can't be extracted. Because I do think that it's a bad look on society that this girl basically got to just wake up one day, get hit up by Shannon Sharpe in whatever form she got hit up by, and it resulted in her making $23 million allegedly. So it's all his fault. I hold him mostly responsible. So I don't want to dismiss that point. This is mostly on him, but still, man, you got to protect yourself out here. And my belief in the trickle down effect, the reason why I like talking about these topics is because I think we're living in a day and age in which this is extending beyond celebrity world because you now have so many 9 to 5ers and you now have so many regular working everyday people who carry themselves with this same kind of energy set. So I feel like even if you're a 50, 60, 70, 80K a year guy, if you're operating in that world where you're trying to DM chicks and you're hitting up chicks and doing the dating app stuff, you're doing the technology stuff, you're doing the OnlyFans stuff, you need to also make sure that you have provisions in place to protect yourself as well. You don't have to be a millionaire anymore to consider this kind of lesson, in my opinion. So,
Mhm.
for Shannon Sharp, bro, um, you know, just because I don't want to see somebody get down bad because they made the wrong choice with the wrong woman, I will say I hope he's able to bounce back. But otherwise, I hope he learns how to make better decisions moving forward.
You know, asking a 57-year-old to grow up is wild business, man.
That is nasty work. It is.
That's crazy, bro. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and I had to look it up. So his little situation, and before I get into that, point well taken. I agree. Whether any of my theories don't make sense unless he has this kink in this issue. This his bedroom situation is the bottom line to all of this. And so now, if what I'm saying is, somewhat, online or on par in my little world, it still would have no legs if he didn't have this issue. But I had to look it up. So he had that little scandal with that lady in September of Michelle. And that was in September of last year, according to Google. But this lady's allegations were in October and January. So October of last year and then January of this year. So Michelle predates this.
Hmm.
All right, so let's get that. But as you were talking, because after I said what I said, I'm like, well, what would Shannon Sharpe have done? And I thought about it, and it's like, hey man, maybe it was the Cat Williams interview, because the Cat Williams interview was the beginning of last year, and that ruffled a lot of feathers. It gave the people in the streets what they wanted. There were people who criticized Shannon Sharpe for allowing Cat Williams to go on such a tirade, drop names
Hmm.
and shard all over the industry. And so I'm like, damn, who would have? I mean, I thought they loved Shannon Sharpe, but maybe that interview probably rubbed people the wrong way. Some people, some important people. And if you're going to have a platform where you're giving people a voice and they can do that, uh, you know, you're going to need to rein that in. And so I'm pretty sure we'll never see another Cat Williams level interview with Shannon Sharpe again, as much as it pays.
Yeah.
I think he learned his lesson. And because he had this kink, I'm sure, when he was at CBS.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when he was at Fox and everywhere else in between, like, I think it might, how it is with these industry people, man. Everybody know what everybody got behind closed doors. And so that's why this was not a big deal to him, I believe. This was business as usual. You know what I'm saying? I always do this. And why is this one all of a sudden, you know? And that's probably why he was so shocked and calling it a shakedown and stuff like that. Like, hey man, like, I live like this. This ain't the first snow bunny I done choked out. You know what I'm saying? But hey man, hey, at this point, bruh, you probably got the wrong people upset. So yeah, man, when you're in the industry, man, and you're flying high as he was all of 2024, um, it's wild to see it come to such a crashing end. But he hasn't, even with these allegations, he hasn't so much crashed with the people or the internet. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
it's
yeah.
corporate.
To his credit, he doesn't look shaken by it.
Mhm.
He's just not mainstream at the moment.
Yeah,
But when it comes to his own stuff on YouTube, it looks like he hasn't really missed a beat. He don't seem to be worried about nothing at all.
yeah. I mean, wait, that's how you got to play it. But I agree. But we'll see what happens with those endorsements. You know, I don't know if they're going to be as lucrative anymore. I'm pretty sure we would have ended up seeing him on TV. I don't think you can put him in a Super Bowl commercial anymore. it's, it's wild, man. But yeah, this guy's he's been living this way for 20, 30 plus years, where he can actually afford to just trick off the way that he has. Probably longer. I mean, I heard some of his college stories. He wasn't tricking, but he was definitely out here in these streets. So yeah, like you said, man, he's carrying himself like a young person. He's always been this way. Never really, I guess, found a reason to change. But you know, when you what's that saying? Like money will really show you people who they really are.
Mhm.
And had he had a little bit more of a humble bank account, he probably would have been a little bit closer to God. And he probably would have been like, you know what? I don't think I should be tricking off on these charlatans, or let me settle down and have a real family. But when you're balling hard like that, you're always succumbing to your desires. You don't have to, but that's how some people end up living. So yeah, they pay for their vices. His isn't the booger sugar. His thing is IG scrolling and picking up stuff in his Insta slores accounts. So hey man, lesson learned, I guess, for everybody watching, this whole scenario. I don't know how you protect yourself from getting set up with somebody you agree to something with. But hey man, just be
I
safe
know
out
how.
here.
I know how
Uh,
you get set up because you don't have anything on paper which says it's unlawful for you to do that. That's
yeah.
how it happens. So that's my whole thing is something because I agree he's probably been doing stuff like this his entire life. But number one, when he was before he really came onto the scene the way he had in the last year or two, he
Mm-hmm,
didn't have as much leverage. So
mm-hmm,
there's not as much to take away. So he's less of a mark, less of a target. But second of all, nothing ever came out before, probably because he was on such a lower level that it just wasn't really worth the investment or the gamble to do it, or the work that goes into actually trying to successfully, you know, receive a judgment of this nature when you talk about these civil cases.
mm-hmm,
But I think the reason why this is able to happen is because someone in his position has nothing on paper which stipulates that you can't do this without me coming for you.
mm-hmm,
Because you just think everything's gravy and no one's ever going to do anything to you. Like no one's ever going to behave towards you with any sort of contempt. And I don't care how consensual something is, when you have something to lose and when you are in a position of leverage, a person can wake up on the wrong side of the bed the next day and decide to go do something about it. And you
mm-hmm,
just never know. And the only way that you can protect yourself against it is to have something in writing which says you cannot do this,
mm-hmm,
obviously, which would have been signed by the other person. And if they refuse to sign it, then they don't abide by your terms and you move on and find somebody else who will. Thus, something doesn't blow up in your face.
mm-hmm,
So all of this boils down to my central point of living life with discretion and just instituting certain provisions that protect you when warranted. Gone are the days when you can just willy nilly be running around out here thinking that people aren't going to take advantage of a situation if they perceive a situation to be advantageous. And so when you walk around loosey goosey like that, anything can happen. And so if your theory is correct, which I don't discount it, still, despite that, this could not have happened if he had that paperwork.
I agreed.
So it's like, bro, get the paperwork. Stop being an idiot. Stop being so. But see, in my opinion, there's a correlation between the kind of guy who is moving this sloppily and the kind of guy who doesn't care about things like paperwork and provisions.
Mm-hmm,
Like there's a correlation. So to a certain extent, I'm kind of the dog chasing its tail in terms of my argument. I'm kind of
mm-hmm,
engaging in a little bit of circular logic, but still, people just need to be smarter about this kind of stuff. Y'all gonna be out here moonlighting with these sex workers like this. At least get the paperwork together, because I'm done telling them to stop doing it. Clearly, they're not gonna stop doing it. So just get the paperwork together. And
yeah.
I do think we're at a point where you can even be, like I said, man, like you can be 70, 80, 90K a year guy. Some of these guys probably, they're not millionaire status. They still dabble with the same kind of women. And I mean, you might not be able to get sued for $50 million, but hell, maybe you can get sued for 10K, 20K, 30K, 50K. Don't put yourself in the crosshairs. So I feel like people need to pay more attention to that.
Yeah, I think Shannon had some allegations in the past, and they went away. Not to the severity of this, but it was against women, you know, and so, but they went away, to the point where it wasn't really public knowledge. I mean, public knowledge, but it wasn't like everybody knew about it, like they knew about this. And so, yeah, he does have the power, or Hollywood does have the power to make things go away. But this was Front Street. They got his ass real good, man. So y'all be safe out here. Yeah, people doing all kinds of things now, man. So um tread lightly. I'll just say that.
Bro, yeah, he put this little girl in a retirement. Oh, and by the way, she's 22. I looked it up. So she's 22. He's 57. She's 22.
Got his ass real
Yeah.
good.
Generationally wealthy. I mean, I'm pretty sure even after she pays taxes and legal fees, she has 13, 14, 15 million dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So this is such nasty work. This is disgusting. It makes me throw up in my mouth, but at this point, I'm used to it.
Unfortunately. That's a wild thing to be used to, bro. But I'm with you, man.